All right, I'm looking for a head count for 25. And if I'm going through the list that I see here, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Kevin Scott is with me too.
All right, thank you. That's going to get us right to that number. I just want to make sure, though.
Kevin Dave is with me too.
All right, I think we're okay. I am just going to do a quick verification. Kathy, Mary Ann. And just because I don't know who that person is, could the person that I'm going to unmute, which is Galaxy Tab A, you could tell me who you are? If you're unable to unmute, if you could just type in the text screen, there's a chat button at the bottom.
Kevin, can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Okay, who's this?
Yeah, this is Ray and Kathy Beausoleil,
Thank you very much.
also known as Galaxy Tab A.
Okay.
As it appears on the voter rolls.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you. All righty. I apologize for the late start. I just want to make sure the housekeeping is correct. So I would ask at this time, it is now 6:49. I would ask to open the Town of Plainfield Special Town Meeting, October 14th via Zoom, and ask for the town clerk to read the meeting posting.
Sure. The electors and citizens qualified to vote at town meetings in the town of Plainfield are hereby warned that a town meeting for the town of Plainfield, Connecticut will be held via Zoom on Wednesday, October 14th, 2020 at 6:45 p.m. for the following purpose. Item 1, public informational meeting to present the Shepherd Hill Elementary School sidewalk project. Item 2, to vote on authorizing the first selectman to make application to the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation's Community Connectivity Grant Program in the amount of $600,000 to fund construction of Phase 1 of said project, dated at Plainfield, Connecticut on the 30th day of September 2020. Kevin M. Cunningham, First Selectman, Arthur W. Gagny, Selectman, Kathy M. Tendrick, Selectman.
Thank you. All right, now that that's been read, we open the floor for nominations for moderator.
I nominate Kevin Cunningham for moderator.
Is that you, Scott?
Gardner.
Thank you.
Yes.
I nominate the disembodied voice of Matthew Radin.
First of all, Scott, do we have a nomination for Scott for me? Is anybody else seconding?
I'll second.
Matt Radin is nominated. Any seconds there?
I'll second Matt.
Any other nominations?
Sean Peterson.
Any other nominations at this time? Hearing none, entertain motion to close nominations.
So moved.
I'm gonna have to raise the question of privilege. And just to get this out of the way, there are about 13 distinct legal problems going on with this meeting. The first one is technically, what is this? Because
before you get to that, can we just finish this portion of it so we can get to that?
well, the questions of privilege would obviate all of that, because if we have no authority to do this, then, you know, renders it all moot, doesn't it? The executive orders don't authorize this.
Well, actually, your question about executive orders, which executive orders are you saying do not authorize?
7B and actually 7B14 specifically, and 7I clarifies that this public meeting stuff was specifically just restricted to municipal budgets. So in other words, what we're doing is we're just saying, COVID, let's make things up. So we're
And I
not
know-
really in a meeting, we're actually in a glorified video conference about action that you would proposedly take without
Dan.
actually having a town meeting.
Mr. Reel, if we can get to the moderator position, then we can actually discuss it. Okay?
But can we?
Yes, absolutely, I will. I will discuss that. So we have a vote at this time to close nominations. Do you have a motion out there?
So moved.
Travis?
Seconded. Make a
Second?
motion to close nominations.
Thank you, Travis. Anybody second?
Second,
Second.
Sean.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, now, those in favor of Kevin Cunningham being moderator, please signify by saying aye.
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 And those in favor of having Matt Radent as moderator, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3. All right, the moderator, I guess, at this point would be Kevin Cunningham. I would continue now to Dan's point. Mr. Reel, you mentioned that 7, which one was it now?
There's Executive Order 7B1, subparagraph 4, which was clarified by Executive Order 7I. You've got Town Charter 2-2, which sets specific requirements. Those are mirrored by General Statute 7-3, 7-5, and 7-7. 7-5 pertains to the place. 7-7 pertains to the ability to have regular parliamentary procedure. Now, I'm not sure about you or anybody else on this call, which is not really a town meeting, but having attempted one of these meetings with 1,000 people across the United States, I can tell you that all the parliamentary requirements are not going to be met. This is going to be flat out illegal.
All right, now my response to that is going to be that I was in discussion with the state of Connecticut, Jonathan Harris, and legal for the state of Connecticut. His reply back to that is that the in-person town meeting can be waived by pursuant of Executive Order 7cc.1, and that this is the application or acceptance of any grant funds or gifts. Therefore, that is what they say allows this to be a meeting via a Zoom process.
Well,
So-
you've got some other problems here, Kevin, because one of them is the ability for everyone to have access to the materials, which, say, for example, if the disembodied, although be it lawfully voting voice of Matt Radin cannot access those documents from the phone, you're still not meeting all the requirements. So, I mean, if you want to run off into the waters here and risk applying for a grant for which there's no lawful authority to apply for, we can take the chance, and if we on the video call want to sanction that, then, hey, let's roll the dice.
Well, again, I have legal counsel from the state of Connecticut, and they say it is okay to pursue.
Well, did they put that in writing?
I have it in front of me that this is allowing us to have this meeting.
So we're supposed to just take your word for it here and not know the background facts and information you gave said counsel to formulate his or her own opinion on this.
I don't know what to say, Mr. Reel.
That's the problem here. You know, we can get any attorney opinion we want. All we have to do is feed them the correct facts, and they're going to feed us what we want to hear because we're not making a full disclosure of what's going on. And there are just too many variables here. And by the way, I might add, and you're familiar with this, there is a right to convert these things to a petition by referenda. Now, obviously, this whole conference thing is just completely abrogated that right. So do we disenfranchise all the taxpayers because we just want to go get grant money?
This is the process the state of Connecticut has allowed us to proceed for. So I'm going to proceed.
Involving numerous conflicts of laws, I would appeal the ruling of the chair.
Okay, that's your right. We will continue at this point.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, when you appeal the ruling of the chair, for anybody who's familiar with Roberts, this goes to a vote of the body, however that may be conducted.
Did we not, would the body of this committee of this town like to make a vote to continue on?
I'll make a motion that we continue on.
Oh, I'll second that one.
It's an appeal of the ruling of the chair. Now, the fact that I have to even explain this to you tells you you're in over your head here on this. So when the ruling of the chair is appealed, then the chair has the entire body vote to either sustain the ruling of the chair or to overturn it.
Are we going to continue with the vote? We have a motion and a second to continue. All in
Not
favor,
in
say
order, but
aye.
that's fine.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
I'd like to present the
Kevin?
public. Yes.
May I just add something to maybe put the current question to rest? If I would like to make a motion that we sustain the chair in this decision.
I believe we just had a vote on appealing the rule of the chair, and the chair's ruling was sustained.
Okay.
Or do we know what we're doing?
That's what we did.
Okay, fair enough.
We can now continue on with item 1, and that is the actual, all right, so let me see if I can do a share screen properly with this. We have an opportunity to, if I can do the share properly. And what we have in front of us is a proposed project for the town of Plainfield and the village of Oregon. There is a community connectivity grant, which all of this printed material is available or will be available in the town clerk's office for anybody to get to, because I apologize for the graininess of the actual documentation here. But this is a community grant. We're going to be looking to go forward with it, and it is, at this point, to summarize it, this is a grant where we can go for $600,000 per year. This is a round where we can get $600,000 per year per different section of the anticipated sidewalks for this project. The first phase would be, in the 3-phase project, would be beginning on the northerly portion of Putnam Road, which is the Route 12 section of Shepherd Hill. And I will show the actual diagram in a minute. It starts along there and proceeds along south end of Shepherd Hill. That phase 1 ends just north of the southerly driveway entrance to Shepherd Hill School. That is, again, if we were able to get the grant for phase 1. Phase 2 is beginning on the northerly side of South Chestnut, close to the intersection of Oregon Road, known as 205. The project proceeds to a new crosswalk, which is ADA compliant with ramps at an intersection. It turns east and continues to the south side of Oregon Road. And that's also at the corner of 205. Across the intersection, the front street, where the new crosswalk is ADA compliant with the ramps, and it continues up Putnam Road to Route 12. And then there's a crosswalk ADA compliant to the ramps leading to Moosa Pond Road. This is the portion there which would go into 2 sections. The first section would continue on Putnam Road, as in Route 12, to the intersection of Shepherd Hill Road, which at that point is an ADA compliant crosswalk that would be installed there. The project will then continue to Shepherd Hill Road on the south side and connect with phase 1 sidewalk. The second section of that is actually a proposed sidewalk installation at the Putnam Road Route 12, crossing over the Moosa Pond Road on the south side intersection with an arc-shaped approximately 147 total in length. And we'll show that in a minute. Phase 3 would be a 3rd-year phase, beginning at phase 1 at that where it ended off at. The project proceeds south on Shepherd Hill Road, continues on to East Shepherd Hill Road to its intersection with Putnam Road, all the way down to Route 12, and the project then turns north onto Putnam Road, Route 12, for a short distance and accumulates at a new crosswalk, which is also ADA compliant, and crossing over onto Putnam Road, Route 12. Now we can get to the actual diagrams for this. So let me give an idea of where we'd be starting. So here's the starting point. That would be where right in front of the gas station area. This continues on around the corner onto Shepherd Hill Road with a crosswalk crossing over to a sidewalk area. The sidewalk on Shepherd Hill Road would continue all the way up. Let me get to the next one. And continue on to what we have is Charlotte and Marie, and then eventually Lori, with crosswalks at each area and across the street, you'll see a small section of sidewalk. Same thing with Murray. And ending up with Lori, with a crosswalk across the street. It continues up in front of the area of the exiting driveway, and then ends approximately in this area right here in front of Shepherd Hill. And that would be the anticipation for phase 1. This will be phase 2. Phase 2 has where we left off at the beginning in front of the gas station, would continue around the corner. You'll see that there is a crosswalk area across over with sidewalks around the beginning portion of Moose Pond Road to Route 12. The continuation of the sidewalks is going down the hill on Route 205. And would they then continue on down Route 205 with a crosswalk at the first driveway, roadway, continuing down. And then there's a corner area, that is the South Chestnut area. So there's a crosswalk there as well. And that would be phase 2. Phase 3 is where we left off at the beginning of phase 1, or the end of phase 1, and that is to continue the sidewalk area down East Shepherd Hill Road on the same side as the school. It continues down the roadway and around the corner. And as mentioned before, it finishes off East Shepherd and around the corner to a crosswalk, which then attaches to the other sidewalks, which are going towards Central Village area. This is a list of the anticipated costs for that project in 3 phases. The 3 phases are where you would be looking to put the construction costs and then the engineering costs, which, because of the way the grant is written, engineering costs would be on the town of Plainfield to cover those costs. So with the first construction area for phase 1 being $604,800, the town portion would be $4,800 additional to the engineering costs. So the grand total for the first phase of this will be costing to the town of Plainfield $46,800. The anticipated bid date, as you can see it below, is December of 2021. The phase 2 portion of it, which is that smaller area from Route 205 coming up around to Route 12 and then crossing over to Moose Pond Road. The construction costs anticipated at this point to be $529,200, and the engineering costs again to be $42,000 for that phase. You see the total project cost, and then the December start bid date would be December of 2022. Phase 3, which starts at the top of the Shepherd Hill School area and then finishes off down East Shepherd Hill Road all the way to Route 12. Anticipated construction costs $756,000. The grant covers $600,000. The town will be liable for $156,000 for construction costs with $42,000 for engineering. At this time, it's $198,000 anticipated cost to town of Plainfield, which at that point on the December 2023 would go out to bid. And again, these are only estimates at this point. All right, so the question came before of, well, how do you then, someone asked the question of how do you take care of and maintain any of the sidewalks? At this point, the town of Plainfield does not have any type of way to maintain sidewalks. There is an ordinance out there that says that the homeowner and or business owner is responsible for it. The plan is anticipated to purchase some used equipment, whether it be, this is a Ventrek, whether it be a Bobcat, a Ventrek, or another company, to purchase something used, actually 2 of them, to maintain the sidewalks in the town of Plainfield, something we have not been able to do so far. So these are things that will be added into the 5-year capital so that we add these in so we can, again, if the bid doesn't go out till 2021, we're not starting it for a while. So we can anticipate putting that into the 5-year capital to move forward. Just as, I'm just putting these up as examples because these are what I found I was able to screenshot and bring down, but those are actual machines that help to plow or snow blow. So I guess at this time, what I'm trying to put forth to the public is that we do have a plan, a 3-year plan to do the sidewalks, and that I'm putting this out to the public What we're looking for tonight is to entertain discussion or questions, comments, because we would like to be able to vote to at least put the application into the state of Connecticut for the community grant. So at this point, I know that's a lot of information to take in. If I had had the IT person here, this would have been online to the public already, so I apologize for that. We don't have access at this time. So I'll have printed copies in the town clerk's office for future. Do we
I have a question.
Sure, and this is,
Melissa Furman, property owner in Moose Up. I have a question. I noticed on one slide it said that the grant amounts were between 125 and 600. Is there any chance that the eventual, if we were given one of the grants, that we may only get a portion of it?
this is we're looking for the full grant amount, so that's what we're looking to do. We wouldn't go forward unless we knew that we can actually cover the amounts.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, and this,
Travis Polonius?
yes,
New
thank
Road.
you.
So you're saying that if this goes through, part of the town budget is going to be to purchase something to plow these sidewalks?
Absolutely. Well, those purchase items would be embedded into the 5-year capital plan, which means that we are already planning ahead of time so that it would be embedded there.
All right, and will you create an ordinance that removes the homeowner and business owner's responsibility to plow it?
We'll discuss that because actually, believe it or not, the Board of Selectmen are talking about ordinances now. But when we get to that point, I think we should readdress that the ordinance, because right now it's an ordinance that's out there. We don't do anything with it. We don't force anybody to take care of the sidewalks, business or homeowners. So I think it's something we can definitely look at in the future to modify.
I just know that when we did the Central Village sidewalks, there was a lot of people that were mad about that. So,
Right. It's like you're giving somebody something to do, and it really wasn't upon them to actually put it up.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm very adamant about the fact of trying to get something to make for the town to maintain. If we own it, we should maintain it, and I think that's an important thing.
So now, my other question too would be, when you say maintenance, that's not just plowing it, that would be repairs to the sidewalk in the future? Like
Right.
it gets dug out somehow, or it sinks? Or...
You always have that situation where there's either cracking or the frost heave brings up one of the sections, and you're supposed to maintain it so that it's safe for everybody.
Okay. Do you have any prospective businesses that would be going into Warregan, any chance? Anything on the horizon that these could really be used for to get to that?
Well, we do know definitely of the one that's actually did a soft opening, I believe, already. There's other ones which we anticipate will come in if something like this is to come forward, because it does make it easier for foot traffic.
Yep.
Right now, you just don't have that foot traffic. Some of the questions or concerns were, why would you put the sidewalk up? Anyway, people don't use it. I don't know about other people, but I know that I've seen people walking their dogs. I see they're using it for exercise. I know that the families will use it in the strollers to walk, and it's much, much safer. I think it's a great way for people to get foot traffic in and out of businesses, and obviously a much, much safer area for walking. We did ask for input from the school system, knowing that there are a few people over in that area that could conceivably use it. I know I spoke to 2 or 3 people, actually 3, that said, as I was growing up there, my kids would have utilized it if they had them, but they don't. So there's not a safe way for them to get to school right now. We don't anticipate a lot of use of it for school, but we do know that it is an option, at least at that point.
And can I ask one more question?
Sure.
If this application for the grant is approved, does it necessarily have to be used for sidewalks?
It's specific for that particular grant. I believe, Marion, you can verify that, but I think this is specific to that item, because you're saying this is what you're putting it for. And I think we've put a good plan out there to say that would be appropriate.
Exactly, Kevin. You get what you ask for, and you have to use it for what you ask for.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me see if I can, there we go. All right, so I'm going to stop the share just for a minute. There we go. Making sure sometimes when you're moderating that portion of it, you don't see anybody else coming in and out of the meeting. So I wanted to make sure we were there. Um, So I just wanted to ask if there's any more questions or comments or concerns from those public members. If you wanted to ask, this would be a good time.
Can I ask one more question, Kevin?
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, full of them tonight. If the application is approved, and say in the future when the COVID issue might go away and we have a larger public base to come to a meeting, if our minds are changed at that point, do we absolutely have to go forward with this if the application is approved?
Well, the application is just putting it in, we're just putting it in right now. I think that we still need to have some further discussions and get the public out, because while Zoom is a great vehicle to let people know without having to be congregated in an area, I think it is also important to have a public meeting on this where you give information. We can put up more of the larger pictures of what we're doing around the town hall area inside, allow people to ask more questions about it to make sure that we know what we're doing is appropriate. I think one of the other questions is on, if you notice on phase 3 where it goes down East Shepherd Hill Road, for anybody that knows that area, that's always been an issue with water runoff. Because of the way that the sloping goes, it actually goes into a lot of the driveways. We anticipate that we can hopefully get a fix for that and actually make it so that it stops that. Obviously, you've got a sidewalk or raised area to allow continuation of water flow. So that's one of the things in the engineering process of this we'd like to be able to fix. Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I have a few questions. First, on the cost estimates for these, I see that the anticipated bid dates are at the end of that calendar year, or at least for phase 1, end of that year. So that's when the bid would be put out. I'm assuming that means construction and the project would begin in calendar year 2022 for phase 1.
You're correct. I think what you're looking at is the approval of the grant from the entity that is actually putting it out there to the municipalities. So that would be number 1. And then you put it out to bid, and whoever the bidder is, we're hoping we stay within that number so that we can actually get something going forward. So yes, you're right. It would probably be a bid in December 2021, which then means the construction phase would start in the spring, or if as long as the weather's okay, actually at that point in the 2022 season.
So thank you. So I guess my follow-up to that question would be, how are we building that cost into the budget? Where would that be located within the budget? What year would that hit? And just understanding that we'd be working with a contract at that point with a firm, how would we be accounting for that cost into the town budget?
Excellent questions. The questions are building that budget properly, and that's why I mentioned before, we'd be looking to put certain things into the 5-year capital plan. The 5-year capital plan gives you an opportunity to say, we know we're doing certain projects, and therefore we can put it all together for those particular years. If I do this correctly, let me see if I can. All right, so there we go. The 5-year capital plan, we can actually phase these out into future years by putting those items in the 5-year capital plan. And I think it would be appropriate to put it here, because that's where you also want people to know when things are happening and what's happening. And we all know that these things change as we go because there's different things that are being asked for. So, but that's where we anticipate it. So that's the first start.
Now,
excellent question.
Each of the phases are going to require a new application process.
Yes, every year. There's three phases, 3 years of applications. So hypothetical, if we were to get the first year and we were to fix that part of the road, if the second year the application came forward and we didn't get that, well, then we look to make sure we try to put it in for year 3 and explain our case. Usually, though, if you're putting a whole package together to a entity like this, they like to see the whole thing. They like to see what you're really planning to do and how many phases it would take. So we anticipated if we sell it properly to the state of Connecticut, that we would be able to get multiple phases into this process.
Okay. Two more quick questions regarding this. Around the grant money that's been made available now. Is this grant money something that is routinely available, these grants through the state of Connecticut, or is this something that comes and goes? In other words, if we don't act now, is there an easy ramp back into trying to access this grant money down the road?
It's a fair question because this is something that just came back. It's a program that rotates through. Previous years it wasn't available. They just started this program back up when we became interested in it because it did come up and we knew what we could use it for. So that's why we put the paperwork together to get ready, knowing that this might be something, an option for the town of Plainfield. So we anticipate this round would be definitely available, and we anticipate the next few years as well.
Okay, and is the monies made available, does that amount ever change? To kind of piggyback off of Ms. Furman's question from earlier,
Right.
if we apply for any one of these phases and we end up with a shortfall on the state money side, are we setting ourselves up to have to pick up a bigger piece of that tab? Are we guaranteed that we would be able to access the full dollar amount of that grant?
We put in for the 600,000, and we're anticipating we would get the full 600,000 based on the need. So we can't predict what the state of Connecticut will do with the grant, but we definitely want to show them we're looking for, in reality, if it's a 3-year project and each one's $600,000 at least, that we're looking for about $1.8 million out of the 1.8 out of the whole thing.
Okay. I appreciate the answers, and I guess I'll end my piece with just a quick thought on this. I'm a little hesitant, although I definitely see the public value and utility in sidewalks, specifically in that area, and I applaud the business development down in that area. I am a little apprehensive about looking at monies to spend beginning almost 2.5 years from now on a project that, if taken to completion, we're looking at probably wrapping up 5 to 6 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's those are my thoughts, but I appreciate your answers to my questions.
Thank you. And really, you don't really get anything until you apply. So really, we're looking to get input from the public, and we're not going to be able to get started on it. And we really want to tell the state of Connecticut this is the whole plan, and see if we can move forward with it. So we'll see how it goes. A question came in, and I will reply to this one. Will the state be responsible for installing crosswalks and possibly crossing buttons and poles for pedestrian crossings on Route 12 and Route 205? That is exactly what we're looking to do, is to get the state input on that. And we were going to be working with different groups to do so. Just so you know, we also reached out to different people to see if they can get their input and their support. We talked to the Board of Education via Ken DePietro, superintendent, and they are writing a letter for support. We also have a letter for support coming in from, I already have one from Heather Summers. We have, I believe we've already gotten one now from the Congressman Joe Courtney. So there's the federal level push, because he's also behind some of these, they call them transportation fundings, but this is one of those items which is part of that. So this is an excellent way for him to help and support this. And we're looking also for the follow-up letters, which we should be able to get from Representative Dauphiné and a few other people as well. So that way we have some other people behind this to help us out to support it, especially at a higher level. So that was a great question about the crosswalks, because we have to talk to the state about that to make sure that they're involved in putting this together and helping us out, because that's a safety issue. It has getting across the street over there to that area, whether it be the Dollar General or any other store or business or house along that area, to be safe. I think the crosswalks are very much a key part of that. And I think the push button crosswalk is kind of crucial. Other comments or questions?
Kevin,
go ahead, Jim.
Hi. The connectivity with Warregan will really help that village to feel part of the whole town. Just being able to walk like that is amazing. We walked through Mystic today, and unless you have a sidewalk, it's a very unsafe feeling to walk in any kind of busy area. So I think it will really help the village. It's a small way to revitalize Warregan a little bit with these sidewalks. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions or concerns?
Yeah, Kevin, this is David Saros. I know it was more than 5 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, the town did a very similar project. I know we've turned over a lot of people between here and there. And I'm not expecting an answer, but maybe there's some lessons learned from the previous go around where we put the sidewalks in. And first off, I think they are great in Moose Up. We did a great job. And this is a great continuation of what we once started.
I agree. I think the sidewalks really help to bring up the communities. This is a great tie-in over to Central Village. Where it drops off East Shepherd does tie into that sidewalk, which brings you right into Central Village. So not that I do a lot of walking, but I think I'd be feeling a lot safer on doing a sidewalk versus along a roadway, especially like 205. Anybody who's driven up that Route 205 area, you can see how it's not really safe for anybody. So I think that would be a great addition.
Isn't Warregan the only village that doesn't have any sidewalks right now?
They do have a couple, and it's on the side, a couple of the side roads there, but they're just in front of those housing areas, and that's
Right.
pretty much it.
Okay.
Yes, Travis.
Another comment. All the positive issues of this all seem very well and good for the safety aspect and drawing in businesses, but my biggest concern would be, once again, pawning off a new task for a homeowner or a business to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
I think if that ordinance was changed in the future, I think that would be the first step to make this a really over-the-top deal. And if the town's input and money could be minimized, obviously, that's my concern.
I think the intent really is, and exactly that, is by purchasing some of those other types of machines to help to clear it off, it really minimizes what the homeowner or business owner would have to do. And we really should be taking care of that. Those different items I mentioned or showed before, whether it's a Bobcat or any other company that does it, they have different attachments that we all know of. You've seen the snow blower, you've seen the brush for the lighter snow, the brushes, and they also have the plow attachment. On one of the smaller ones that I mentioned or showed before, it actually has where the operator is standing, they have a either liquid melter or a salt sander actually on that machine. So you're kind of doing a lot of things at once where you're either plowing or snow blowing, and you're also putting that material behind it so that you don't have to come back and over it again. There was one of them that actually had an extended arm for the snow blower. So if you have a town truck who is riding along the road and the snow blower pushes the snow right into the truck, it eliminates everything. So that makes it much safer for the driver and for the person using the sidewalk. So, I mean, those are ideas. I'm definitely looking at used ones for right now. And I think that would be something we can definitely put into the 5-year capital. Even as we speak today, I think looking at next year's budget already, because I'm doing that, I think that we have an opportunity to, as long as we go forward with the grant and as long as we get the grant, to be able to purchase those items. So and I think we definitely, like you said, Travis, it's important to look at those ordinances because we can't just let them sit there. They have to be modified, and that's what we're trying to do right now. And I think if we go forward with this, we can definitely modify those ordinances because I wouldn't want someone being hurt or elderly out there trying to shovel, and we need to be maintaining our own. And we put those sidewalks up, we should maintain. I know John's on this call right now, so whether it's highway staffing using it and helping out, or whether it's town hall staff taking care of that, I think we can work that out so that we have staffing taking care of this and making it safe for everybody.
Out of curiosity, what's a used machine like that cost?
I've searched online for them. You can go anywhere from 13,000, but then you're talking about the attachment, which is a couple thousand for a used one. They go anywhere. They can go up to $40,000 or $50,000 for one. And I think that you're looking at those pretty much either 1 or 2 year old or brand new. So it's something I can put together in the budget, and I want to make sure that we all search for the stuff that we can use right away. And make it so it's cost effective for the taxpayers. So it's not going to be an arm and a leg just to get the machines out there.
Thank you.
Hey, Kevin, it's Kim Medlin. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I think the project is a great project. I agree with all of the points that were made, how it will, relate Oregon to the rest of the town if they're included. I like the idea that, it could potentially bring businesses in. I guess I would just have to echo Matt Radin's hesitancy because of COVID. So I guess my question is to you, if for some reason, we're going through COVID for another year, I don't know, the economy closes again, just worst case scenario, if we do proceed with applying for this grant, can we push the bid off another year instead of December 2021 to 2022? Do we have to do it within a certain amount of time after applying for the grant? Just because of COVID, it's still a substantial amount of money that could potentially be coming out of the town. And, you always have to anticipate additional costs when doing a project like that. And, we don't want to increase taxes.
Right.
So.
I think that it's a valid point. I believe, though, if you apply for the monies, you're going to have to use it within a certain time frame. Marianne, you've looked at this a little further than I. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, you would have to use it up within the specified time period that you are saying that you'll actually do the work. So our projected schedule is go out to bid in December, start construction in April, and finish construction in July. Those are projected schedule subject to minor changing, but it can't be anything, hold off for another year. It can't be anything like that.
So essentially we're locked in if, worst case scenario, the economy closes and, we have issues with, getting our, taxes in the town, et cetera. So we're essentially locked into that is what you're saying.
Yeah. And Kevin, didn't you say previously when we were talking about this at the joint Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Board of Education meeting, that the town budget currently has enough money in it based on expenses that we aren't incurring to cover the phase one town cost?
Correct. I'm trying to get that up right now. See if that's, I don't want to do that. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to pull up the, I can take that down. 5-year capital, so that puts that up. And let's see if I can do a share now. Zoom meeting, share screen. There we go. And share. Just to show you that we do have a little bit of money at this point, at this juncture, and what we would have available for next year, I'm just going to give you the apples to apples look. If we were to look and put forward a budget for you for next year for the town side of the budget, there are things that we did already this year that we're not going to be doing again next year. And I would phrase it like that because if you look at the top of that page, you're looking at which is Moosup Pond herbicide. That's $20,000 we expended already this year. We're not going to do that again next year. So if I'm, again, apples to apples, it's 11.531 for our current budget. Well, this is something that we're not going to be expending for next year. I would anticipate that we could utilize that for coverages for the increase for the engineering costs and continue on with that. I don't anticipate putting up a synthetic rink this year. I don't anticipate going for fireworks this year. So we do have monies available now, but we also have monies that we probably wouldn't be using next year. Take a look at Hazardous Waste Day. That's $17,000. It's one time. It's going to be this spring coming up. We only expend it for this year. We're not going to be expending it for next year. Used vehicle for engineering, purchasing this year, but not expending it for next year. I tallied about all of the ones that we have up here of what we will have available for next year that was expended for one time this year, but not next year. And it came up to $79,000. So I think that, earmarking those 79 or up to $42,000 for engineering costs increase for next year in that 5-year capital means I think we have easily available access to that type of money. Again, it's tough to predict what your budget's going to be, Very tough.
Mhm.
But I can tell you that there's some things that we're not going to be doing recurring, so I know that there's a little bit more money available for next year. I'm working on union contracts for this year, and obviously that bleeds into the next couple of years of what is anticipated for increases. Those are the very few things, by the way, that I see that we would be increasing for next year. I don't want to go and put a lot more money into other things. I'm trying to keep it so that it's a level set budget. And to be very honest with you, I'm really looking to get a budget on the town side, which will be less than what we have currently at 11.5. I'd like it to be actually under 11. So I anticipate that we can actually do something like this and be able to come forward with these type of project. Well, especially this type of project. I don't anticipate us paying for that $600,000, but you know how it always runs with construction. There's always some sort of overrun, and that's what I want to make sure we have in a buffer there in the 5-year capital.
Right, and in addition, there's always unanticipated costs that we run into each year. You know, like already we're having additional like computers and software that needs to be done. You know, there's a bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline. So even though we do have, you know, 79,000, that doesn't necessarily mean that we couldn't use that money on other unanticipated costs.
Absolutely. And that's why you try to put the budget together to anticipate items like that to occur. But that's what I'm doing right now. I really do anticipate that we will be less than current year for next year's budget on the town side.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Kevin?
Yes.
This is Ray Bosey. I was just wondering how the estimates were arrived at for phase 1 and 2 and 3.
Mary Ann, and I think our little input from other people. Mary Ann, do you have that estimate
Yeah,
cost?
the town engineer gave us those estimates.
Okay, thank you.
And for those who want to know, it's CME is our engineering company, and we have, I think, on the call tonight, I think I saw him earlier, was our town engineer, Chuck.
Yep, I'm here. If anyone has any questions.
The question was how you arrived at the $600,000 estimate for phase 1, and then the subsequent estimates for the other phases.
Sure. So the 600,000 is what the state grant is for. So we didn't calculate the 600,000. What we did is we worked with Mary Ann and broke the project up into the different phases so that those construction costs would be in and around the 600,000. You can see from the spreadsheet that Kevin had up previously, you know, some of those phases are a little bit more than the 600,000. But we tried to get them right in and around 600,000. You know, and of course you need to break the phases up so that they're meaningful, so that if you have, you know, if we just do one phase, we're doing the first phase, which is the most important, and then the subsequent phases that follow, you know, so phase 1 could basically stand on its own, and then be followed up by the other phases. But that's the general idea behind how the different sections were broken up. The construction costs, we used a combination of Connecticut DOT standard costs. The DOT keeps a record of all of their state bids for different projects. And so we use those for some of the different quantities. And then we do quite a bit of, you know, sidewalk and road work that gets bid out per state wage rate. And so we have those very current costs, and we take an average of those costs, and that's how we put the construction costs together.
Okay, thank you. That was helpful.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns?
Kevin, excuse me.
I'll yield to Naomi.
Thank you, Matt. Naomi Smith. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
When is the deadline for the grant to be put in? I know you've mentioned it in the past, but it slipped my mind.
If voted upon tonight, we have to turn it in by Friday. And we anticipate doing that actually tomorrow, because we have, at that point, we'll have all of our paperwork's already ready to go. We're just waiting for a vote. And the second part of that is that we're also including in that paperwork all of the individuals I mentioned before who were looking to help and support by legislators and the Board of Education as well, through the superintendent. But those letters of support would also go in with it. So we anticipate tomorrow we'll be putting them in if voted upon tonight.
Okay, and then you had mentioned to Mr. Rial that you had consulted with someone from the state.
Yes. Jonathan Harris.
And he referenced 7cc.
7cc, yes.
Do you know, did he, in the letter he sent to you, did he reference what part of 7cc he was referring to?
Yeah, 7cc.1.
Okay.
Yep, which then references back to Executive Order 7S, Section 7, and
Okay.
that tells you that it's item I. Because in 7S, Section 7, it talks about the governing bodies of legislature talking about moving forward with fiscal responsibilities, and this falls underneath that for the application or acceptance of any grants.
So are we basically, am I surmising from that, because I'm looking at 7cc1, and here it says when there's an immediate need for action due to health or safety. So is that why we're classifying this as such a big safety risk with the sidewalks?
No, the executive order itself falls under that entire umbrella for when it started on March, 18th, I think it was, that the first executive order came through talking about the health and safety risks, and those all fall underneath that umbrella now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. And I know that this is a meeting where you may think of something later on. We anticipate that people will say, well, what about this and what about that? That's fine. We would encourage you to actually put forth questions or comments or concerns to the town and send it here to the selectman's office, or you can give me a call as well and we can talk about them. So if you can't think of it tonight, that's fine. Any other kind?
Mr. Chair, I had two quick questions to add on. First one being, is this something that's going to have to go to a town meeting for each phase if we were to apply based on the amount that the town would likely have to foot in funding?
I don't believe we do, because we're actually saying we'd like to go forward with the project. But I can consult with a legal on that just to make sure. But I believe we're going forward with the project, and it has 3 phases, so I think we're okay. We're looking to take that to the vote tonight to allow people to authorize us to make the application to the state for that transportation community connectivity grant for the first phase. And so therefore, I believe, yes, we would have to come back for phase 2 and phase 3 for motions.
Okay, yeah, that's how I understood it. This was while we present phase 1, 2, and 3, really this meeting is for action on phase 1.
Correct.
And then when the time would come, we would have to hold an additional meeting for action on phase 2, given the costs associated. Okay.
Yep.
And my second question is just looking at the cost estimates of each of these phases that the town would come up with. It's a little over $285,000 over a 3-year time period. Was there consideration to our existing 5-year capital plan as to where those monies could have also been used, looking at the road going forward? I know that there's a number of projects on there that probably carry relatively high price tags, and over a 3-year period, over $250,000 on infrastructure that we do have that does need maintenance. I'd like to know if some thorough consideration was given to that as well.
Absolutely. I believe what I'll be doing is talking to the chairperson about exactly where those monies could be allocated from over the next couple of years, and that we definitely are going to embed this, if approved, can embed it into our 5-year capital plan for not only just the engineering costs, but also for the purchase of those other 2 maintenance items, and still be able to get, if not all of those things in the 5-year capital plan taken care of. Like I said, my push is to actually knock the budget down on the town side. I believe we can do so, but still maintain what we have for the 5-year capital plan.
Thank you, and I do appreciate outlining the costs that you don't anticipate to be recurring into the next budget year. Unfortunately, and this might make me either a pessimist or a realist, depending on your worldview, but when it comes to the state of Connecticut, economic shutdowns and municipal funding for towns like Plainfield, I'm not exactly the rosiest optimist when it comes to what monies we may still have available or have coming to us. So I appreciate the answers to my questions. Thank you.
Well, actually, Matt, that's the reason why I want to bring down our budget on the town side. I want to make it so it's affordable.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, so we've discussed it at this point for the public information portion of it. I think that this time we'd probably entertain a motion to vote to authorize the first selectman to make application to the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation Community Connectivity Grant Program in the amount of $600,000 to fund construction of phase 1 of said project. Do I hear a motion?
I would like to motion that.
I'll second.
A motion and a second has been made by June and Mary Ann. Any other discussion at this time? And again, we're just putting this forward to the state of Connecticut and let them go from there. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
I'm just gonna make sure we get the nays. Matt?
Correct.
Okay. If you have the button on your screen down below where it says reactions, for those who said no, if you don't mind doing that, otherwise you can just say nay.
Nay.
Okay.
Nay.
Yeah.
I'll throw it in the chat box too.
Okay, thank you. So that was just 2 for the nay? Thank you.
4.
All right. At this point, the motion carries, and I appreciate your listening to the whole process and your input and your questions, because we still have a lot of work to do. This is not just a put the application in and move forward. So we will do some follow-up with this as well, and I'll try to get an informational meeting when we have time to open up the town hall and make it available to everybody. But again, thank you very much for this. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Aye.
And Matt, you're still on?
Yes.
All right. If you'd like, you want to give me a call afterwards?
Sure thing.
Thank you. And Travis, I got your answer for the question that was you posed to me before about something else.
Okay,
I'll give you a call tomorrow. Is that okay?
that's perfect. Can you call me after 3:30? I'll be out of work, so I'll have my phone on me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Good night, all.
Thank you.
Good night.